They told you who you were before you ever had the chance to decide for yourself. They wrote your name in ink that wasn't yours, carved your identity into a story you never agreed to. They thought they knew you, thought they had you figured out, thought they could define you by their own expectations, their own fears, their own limitations. And maybe, for a while, you believed them. Maybe you let their voices drown out your own. Maybe you shrank yourself to fit inside the tiny box they built for you. But tell me, how long will you keep playing a role that was never meant for you? How long will you keep living in a story you didn't write? You feel it, don't you? That quiet unrest, that persistent whisper in the back of your mind, the one that says, this isn't all you are. That whisper has been growing louder, clawing at your chest, trying to shake you awake. Because deep down, buried under the weight of expectations, under the labels they've forced upon you, under the doubt they planted in your mind, there is something else. Something raw, something untamed, something powerful. They see you as you were, but they don't see who you are becoming. They don't see the fire you've been tending in the dark, the storm that has been building beneath your skin. They don't see the cracks forming in the walls they tried to build around you. But you feel it. You know something is shifting. You are not who they thought you were. Do you understand what that means? It means that every lie they fed you, every limitation they placed on you, every name they called you, it was never the truth. It means that you have been carrying chains that were never locked. It means that the prison they put you in only exists if you choose to stay inside it. It means that you hold the pen now. But the question is, will you use it? Because change is not quiet. It does not ask for permission. It does not tiptoe politely into existence. Change shatters. It burns. It roars. And you were made for more than silence, more than submission, more than the version of you they tried to create. This is your moment. This is your reckoning. So I'll ask you again, are you ready to take back your story? They started writing your story before you even knew how to hold a pen. Before you could form your own thoughts, they were already pouring their expectations into you, molding you into something that made sense to them. Family, society, teachers, strangers, they all had a version of you in their minds, a definition of who you were supposed to be. And whether they meant to or not, they pressed those labels onto you like a brand, until one day you stopped questioning them. They told you to be quiet, to sit still, to color inside the lines. They told you to be what made them comfortable. They measured your worth in grades, in obedience, in how well you fit into their idea of success. They decided what you could achieve before you even had the chance to dream for yourself. And if you ever dared to step outside of that definition, they pulled you back. They reminded you of your place. Maybe it started with a word, a single word that cracked your confidence before you ever had the chance to build it. Maybe it was not smart enough, not pretty enough, not strong enough, not talented enough. Maybe it was too much, too loud, too ambitious, too different. Maybe it was the way they looked at you when you spoke your dreams out loud, that quiet disbelief in their eyes, the smirk that told you they didn't take you seriously. Maybe it was the silence, the absence of encouragement, the way they dismissed your hopes as childish fantasies. And so, slowly, without realizing it, you began to shrink. You made yourself smaller to fit into the spaces they allowed you to occupy. You learned to apologize for existing in a way that didn't match their script. You edited yourself, erased the parts they didn't approve of, rewrote yourself in a way that made them comfortable. And one day, you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the reflection staring back at you. Do you see it now? The weight they placed on you? The burden of expectations you never agreed to carry? They built a cage around you, painted it gold, and called it love. They put chains on your dreams and told you it was for your own good. They held up a mirror, but it was never meant to show you who you truly are. It was meant to show you the version of yourself that they wanted you to see. And maybe, after a while, you believed it. Maybe you thought that was all there was. Maybe you thought that was all you could be. But what if they were wrong? And so, the lies became your truth. Not all at once. No, that would have been too obvious. It happened slowly, like ink seeping into paper, until the words weren't just written on you, they were written in you. You didn't even notice when it happened, when their voices became your own, when their doubts became your reality, when their limitations started sounding a lot like your own thoughts. You stopped reaching, stopped fighting, stopped believing that more was even possible. You told yourself it was just being realistic, that dreaming too big only leads to disappointment, that wanting more than what was handed to you was selfish, foolish, impossible. You convinced yourself that the safest place to be was exactly where you were, because at least here, Failure couldn't touch you. At least here, no one could call you not enough ever again, because you stopped trying to prove them wrong. But do you see what happened? Do you see how fear wrapped itself around your ribs like a cage? How doubt crept in like a slow poison, making you second-guess your own strength? The past left wounds on you, and instead of healing, you kept reopening them, kept tracing the scars like they were maps that told you where you belonged. Stuck, small, silent. You started sabotaging yourself, didn't you? Turning down opportunities before they could turn you down first, settling for less because at least it was certain, making excuses, convincing yourself that now isn't the right time, that you're not ready, that people like you don't get to rise. You let comfort trick you into thinking it was safety, but comfort is a liar. It whispers sweet nothings in your ear while stealing the fire from your soul. It tells you that staying where you are is better than the risk of falling, but what it doesn't tell you is that you've already fallen. Because nothing is heavier than a life unlived. Nothing is more painful than realizing you were the one holding the keys to your own prison all along. Nothing is more suffocating than knowing you were meant for more and doing nothing about it. But buried beneath the rubble is something they didn't see, something even you forgot was there, but something inside you never fully surrendered, did it? Even in the silence, even in the weight of it all, there was a whisper, a flicker of something deeper, something untouched by their expectations, something raw and unbreakable. Maybe it was small, maybe it was buried so deep beneath the layers of doubt that you could barely hear it, but it was there. And then, something shifted. Maybe it was a moment, a crack in the wall of everything you believed about yourself. Maybe it was a question that wouldn't let go, what if I'm more than this? Maybe it was a feeling, like the first breath of air after holding it for too long. Like a sunrise inching over the horizon, spilling light into the darkness you had mistaken for home. You started to see it, didn't you? The moments of rebellion, the times you fought back even when you didn't know why. The times you refused to be small, the times you spoke up, the times you didn't let them win. Just keep shooting. Pleased to meet you. The times are done. They were there, scattered throughout your past, proof that you were never as powerless as they made you feel. And what if failure wasn't proof of weakness? What if it was proof that you tried? That you had the courage to step forward even when everything inside you screamed to stay still? What if every scar was a map, not of where you broke, but of where you healed? You were never weak. You were just told you were. And now the battle begins. Not the kind fought with swords or shields, but the kind that rages inside of you. The kind that has always been there, just beneath the surface. The war between the voice that tells you to stay small and the fire that demands you rise. Between the chains of your past and the wings of your future. Between the comfort of the old and the unknown promise of something greater. But doubt stands on one side, whispering every reason why you should turn back. It lists your failures like a judge reading a sentence, reminds you of every time you stumbled, every time you tried and fell short. Fear joins in, painting worst-case scenarios in the back of your mind, making you question if it's even worth the fight. They've been your captors for so long, these voices. They've convinced you that they are your protectors, keeping you from disappointment, from risk, from pain. But on the other side, something else is rising. Truth, courage. The part of you that remembers who you are. It doesn't whisper, it roars. It tells you that you were never meant to stay locked inside a story that doesn't belong to you. It reminds you that everything you need has always been inside of you. And now you have a choice. Will you keep living the lie, keep letting the past define you, keep carrying wounds that were never yours to hold? Or will you break free? Will you let go of the story that was forced upon you and write your own? This is your revolution. This is your war cry. No more waiting. No more asking for permission, no more holding on to a past that no longer serves you. Forgiveness, not for them, but for yourself. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. Because you deserve to be free. Because you are not who they said you were. You are something greater. And then, it happens. The moment everything shifts. The moment the weight of the past no longer holds you down, but fuels your rise. The moment you stop looking at yourself through the eyes of those who never truly saw you. The moment you understand, really understand, that you were never broken, never too much, never too little, that every scar, every setback, every whispered doubt was never proof of your weakness, but of your survival. You feel it, don't you? That fire in your chest, that certainty that was once just a whisper but is now a roar. The chains that held you, shattered. The walls that confined you, crumbled. The story they wrote for you, burning to ash as you take the pen in your own hands. This is transformation, the kind that cannot be undone. Like a phoenix rising from the flames, like a butterfly breaking free from its cocoon, you are stepping into something new, no longer bound by what was, no longer apologizing for who you are becoming. And what does that life look like? A life where you reclaim your voice, where you no longer shrink to make others comfortable. A life where you do not seek permission to take up space, where you walk with the certainty of someone who knows they belong. A life where you speak your truth, not softly, not hesitantly, but boldly, with the authority of someone who knows. This is your new beginning. The old story is gone. The old version of you is no more. But there is one question left to answer. Now that you know the truth, what will you do with it? And now you walk differently. Not just with your feet, but with your spirit. There is no hesitation in your steps, no shrinking in your presence. The weight of doubt that once clung to you has been cast off, and in its place, power. Real, undeniable power. The kind that comes not from what the world gives you, but from what you have always carried within. This is what they never told you. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is not something granted, not something earned by being good enough in their eyes. Confidence is something you take, something you decide. And you have decided. No more apologies for the way you shine. No more dimming your light to make others comfortable. No more lowering your voice so theirs can be louder. You are here, and you will not shrink back into the shadows. The struggles you faced, they were never meant to break you. They were lessons written in fire, carving wisdom into your soul. Every tear, every battle, every time you thought you couldn't take one more step, it was all leading you here, to this moment, to this understanding. That pain was not your ending, it was your foundation. And if you've learned anything, it's that waiting is the greatest thief of all. Waiting for the right time, waiting for permission, waiting until you feel ready. No more waiting, the time is now. The doors will not open on their own. The world will not hand you a throne. You must take it. You must step forward, not because you are fearless, but because you refuse to let fear decide for you. You are no longer crawling, no longer standing still. Now you are moving, running, soaring. Unstoppable. There is no turning back because there is nothing left for you behind. And now, the only thing left to say, the only thing left to own, is the truth you have known all along. I am not who they thought I was. I am more. So now, the final question stands before you, waiting for an answer. You have broken free from the story they wrote for you, shattered the lies that once held you in place, stepped into the truth of who you are. But what now? Because knowing the truth is not enough. Awakening is not enough. None of this means anything unless you step forward, unless you take ownership of the life that is now yours to create. No one can do this for you. No one is coming to push you through the door. No one is going to hand you your power. You must claim it, own it, live it. You stand at the threshold of something new. Behind you, the past fades, the expectations dissolve, the doubts lose their grip. Ahead of you, a door stands open, not because someone else opened it, but because you finally stopped waiting for permission and kicked it down yourself. This is the moment of choice. Will you step forward into the unknown, unafraid? Or will you hesitate, looking back at what was familiar but never truly yours? The choice is yours. The story is yours. But understand this. You are no longer the person they thought you were. You are not the sum of their expectations. You are not the weight of your past. You are not the doubt that once held you hostage. You are more. You are the writer, the architect, the force that bends reality to your will. You are unstoppable. You are undeniable. You are a revolution in motion. They thought they knew you, but you changed the story. Now, go and live it.